I ain't never seen one before.
Ain't you never been to a funeral?
I never knew nobody that died.
I don't think it's such a good idea.
What's that? Road flares, asswipe. What do you want with those?
I just want to party. What are the guys?
I'm all the way up. All the way up. I'm all the way up. I'm all the way up. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. Exclusive.
What up guys, your boy Jake Dripmode, and today we're not going to be working on a dial. Sorry guys. But today we're going to be working on a repaint. But first, before I get into it, I want to give a shout out to Matt. Thank you for the next commission job. He's been one of my recurring clients. My client's he's into horror movies. And he's actually a dial builder himself. He has commissioned me to work on a specific piece from a movie called The Return of the Living Dead. Now, if you watch this movie, it's a horror classic from the 80s. It's a comedy, and yeah, it's a horror original classics that has been contributed to the whole zombie genre. My client wanted me to basically recreate a 1959, I think I got that right, 1959 Cadillac. And in the movie of The Return of the Living Dead, there's this group that they call themselves the Suicide, and it's a bunch of punk kids, and they're just going to a cemetery and just kind of just being retarded. But they drive this caddy, and the caddy is all ragged out. It's old, it hasn't been maintained, there's graffiti all over with a lot of interesting messages on it. But yeah, that's a piece that my client wants me to build. With that being said, my client sent me the car that he wants me to repaint. Now I want to give you guys some context of why this one's so unique. Now, if you guys have seen a lot of my work or a lot of my repaints, a lot of my work is like what I want to say 1/24th when it comes to like vehicles, and these are the scales, right? 132, 124, 118, 112. I have never worked in the scale in my life in regards to vehicles, but it's perfect for figurines. So I have some figures in there just to give you guys some perspective. But this is 112. This is great for 112 figures. I didn't know this size exists, and he was able to get this item shipped to me so that I can repaint it and basically destroy it with graffiti and make it look just like the one in the movie. The one thing I would say that it's probably an opportunity for me to learn is that in this car, I'm gonna have the opportunity to get into rusting, making the car look deteriorated, rusting the chrome. A first of a kind for me to work on. I never worked on anything like that. I'm used to making things dirty, making things broken, and there's a huge community for people that love to get cars and just make them look old and rusty. And this is a project that's going to give me the opportunity to dabble in that realm. So I'm definitely excited and thankful for the opportunity to work on this. So guys, let's get to it. Alright, so something like this, what I'm anticipating from what I've learned in the past is gotta remember where each screw goes. So good thing I'm recording this, because this definitely will help me put this guy back together. So silver trimming, and this is not all this stuff is really just kind of glued down. So I'm gonna show you guys how to use either a dribble to remove it, that I recommend. In these builds you're gonna find these little I don't know what you call them, but this is where they basically clip inside so they can hold into it, right? But what they do also is that they put a little bit of glue. So what I recommend that has worked for me is I use a dribble and basically sand it off. Get something sharp and be real gentle about it. Voila. Everything is taken apart from the hood, the door, chassis, door, engine, wheels, interior, and front dashboard and windshield. So now I'm able to now focus on the areas that I need to paint, and then I can assemble it once all that's done. So next up is sanding the pink as much as I can. Alright, so as you can see here, it's already sanded down and now ready to prime. Alright guys, as you can see, it's been primed and now it's ready for painting. Now I gotta think in layers. Normally I would just, after priming it, just start painting a base coat and then give it a shine. In this case, I'm gonna first paint the whole chassis brown and then go over it with the base color that's gonna be blue. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be able to sand down that base color and start revealing the brown layer, and it's gonna give it this natural rust look that I'm trying to achieve. So what I want to introduce is I'm using spray cans, and I'm using a dark brown, and I'm using a nutmeg. Alright guys, so as the other stuff is drying, I just took apart the interior, removed the sofa or the seats from the carpet. From the reference in the movie, the carpet is like black, so I'm just gonna paint it with the off black, put some browns in there as well. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking an opportunity before I get into the next layer of painting this car, is with this rust here, I already added a variety of brown, lights and darks, and it's looking pretty cool the way it is. And honestly, I don't really need to do much to it, but I want to take advantage of the situation. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go and get creative with the rust. Throw a little bit of highlights of yellow mixed with brown, kind of just to really get it looking really rusty. It looks rusty as is, but I just definitely want to take it to the next level. And this is just me pushing myself to the caddy. Also, what I want to play around is I have this sponge. It has these interesting holes that I could definitely want to try to see if I could spray over, see how it looks like. Another technique that I'm using to kind of like balance it around, right? So I'm doing this where I'm just kind of like spraying. Really lightly, right? And then just pulling. Getting these interesting smears. Added in areas that I want it to stick to really well. Get the Epsom salt. And just spray it on, just, you know, have it sit there. Alright, so I didn't put so much because this car doesn't have that much rust. Have the salt sit there for a little bit, it's a little bit hardened. Now I'm going to spray paint it with blue. Now it's time to remove the salt. Now, I recommend to use a toothbrush. I have this guy right here. It's kind of like a toothbrush, but a little bit stronger. So basically just gonna just start removing. It's not bad. My first attempt is not bad. So I want to show you guys one reason why I painted the way I painted it. Now with sanding, I can actually scrape the blue off. So I'm gonna do an example here where I'm gonna just kind of start sanding some of these areas. As you can see, I'm bringing back some of the browns. I started adding some whites, some white bondo, adding some bondo type of looks, sanding down more of the paint so I get more of the browns. But now I'm just adding those little blemishes that really gives this die-cast a lot of character. So right here on this edge, let's just pretend like this edge got some cracks and they have to bondo it. So I'm gonna do with my Tamiga paint, I'm just gonna take a little dab and start adding in areas. Alright, like that. Alright, I'm gonna let it dry a little bit, and I'm gonna just start adding them in other areas like that. You know, you can pull away if you want to in case you don't like it, but yeah, just add some areas. Working on some details, and there's a gash here. This is plastic, so I got my solder tool, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut it open. This solder tool helps a lot for stuff like this, especially if you have to cut stuff. It really helps. And all I gotta do now is just paint it again. Back on there. Perfect. Also doing some black wash. Hopefully with that it'll be able to kind of like hide those imperfections and give it that muddy look, because that's my goal, is to make it look muddy. Next up is the tires, and I am just trying to figure out how to go about this. Something like this. That's kind of like what I'm trying to accomplish. So I gotta figure out how to remove the centerpiece and in turn make it look like that. So now, not bad. Not bad. Let's see. Let's start washing them. And do some dry brushing. And to kind of give it an old look now that I have this like this, I'm gonna dry brush the wheel. Let's see. Not bad. Now to kind of even it out, put black to wash. Look at that. A little bit of brown airbrushing. Look at that. That looks dope. Here you go. Here's the results, the before and after. This is fun. Alright guys, next up is the drop top. Now, this actually looks pretty accurate to the movie. The drop top cover is removed or fell off or whatever to make it look ghetto. So that's this piece right here. So this is what it would look like typically drop top comes out. I actually want to build that drop top, not functional, but just have it here as an accessory. So this is what I'm thinking. With this type of wire, cut out a wire, shape it out. I'm going to use the two holes right here to insert it. But then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use fabric to wrap around and act like a drop top, you know, wrapping this piece with liquid stitch. So wrap it, then just fold these pieces to look like a drop top. Alrighty, so this is what I ended up doing. So I ended up creating a pole on this side and then I guess a U-type shape on the other end. So what I'm gonna do is put the front hook on these hooks right here by the chair and slide it in there. To now create the placement. And then I just gotta make sure everything is tucked in right. And there you go. Came out pretty cool. Came out pretty cool. Now the only thing I gotta do now is that I actually need to make it dirty. So I'm gonna just kind of weather some dirt on it.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth and tear the flesh from the living.
Here you go guys, here is my 1959 Cadillac Eldorado that was repainted by the inspired movie called The Return of the Living Dead. And here it is, guys. In the video, as you saw, you know, I added additional layers to my process of painting due to the fact that I knew that I was wanting to get this type of effect. So that was a new opportunity that I really don't ever play with, and I'm definitely very grateful that I had the opportunity to work on this project. The other thing that was a challenge, and I was very happy with the outcome, was how to convert these tires that were beautiful hubcaps when it was pink to making it look like a old rusty rim without a hubcap. And so basically what I just did is I just cut out all the spokes and then reshaped it, weathered it, and added the 5 holes for the lug nuts. And it came out, the outcome was very successful. I was very happy to be able to apply that to all the tires to get that look. It's definitely a very important detail that I really was making sure that I accomplished. One of the other things too that became a little bit of a challenge was that the referencing of the car was missing the right side of the caddy. So I did not know what to write here. So to continue the pattern of what I'm seeing is adding the same type of keywords and the same type of, you know, graffiti, the black and the red, and also continuing the rusting of it. So that was a bit of a challenge, but nothing too crazy. And then being able to know when to use the airbrush or not. Playing with this scale, sometimes with airbrush, if you really don't work with it as much, it becomes a challenge. In my case, it kind of helped a little bit to kind of get the effect that I was looking for in regards to the graffiti, but it was a bit challenging in regards to the red. The details started getting a little bit more tinier, and it was becoming a little bit overpowering. So instead I had to kind of switch direction by using markers and making sure that the blue is still the main color of this prop. Usually the interiors I leave them alone, but this time, because this car was pink and white, it gave me the opportunity to play with interior as well. So guys, let me know what you think. Hit that like button, write a comment, and if you haven't, hit subscribe. Alright guys, we'll see you later. Peace.
I'm all the way up. All the way up. I'm all the way up. I'm all the way up. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up.
Exclusive.